Hi everyone, and welcome to Mom Talks. It's Friday and we are here back at the Children's Specialty Care Center, and we're going to be talking about CPR and choking today. Every parent's probably one of their worst fears while they're just at home or out and about is that their child will choke or that something will happen and they need to respond. So I'm here with Elizabeth. Hi.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do for the hospital?
Sure. So when I was a new nurse, I graduated from Goldfarb School of Nursing at Barnes Jewish College, and I worked in the special care nursery, postpartum labor and delivery down at Barnes Jewish Hospital for 4 years. But now I work for BJC Medical Group doing staff education for our physician offices. So we do have some pediatric offices. And then my part-time job, I work for St. Louis Children's Hospital Community Education, teaching the Family and Friends CPR class.
Good. So she is in the classroom every week teaching parents and grandparents and all different kinds of people about CPR and about choking and basic uses of an AED. Now, before we get started with this class, I want to say we're going to be going over a lot of information. It's going to be really informative, but I just want to let you know you cannot get your certification from watching this class. We hope this is a good introduction to this material or a refresher if you're already certified or if you've already taken the class. But just so you know, we can't give you certification through watching this video. So with that, let's get started first with CPR. Now, for starters, CPR is typically when you find a child or an adult who is unconscious. So let's talk for starters about what might have happened ahead of time. How can you recognize that a child or an infant might need CPR?
Great, that's a good question. So before we start, you probably see two different mannequins. This is going to be for our toddler to about school age, and then this is our infant who is from birth to about 1 year of age. So we'll talk about the differences of CPR in a minute, but to answer her question, basically when a child is not responsive, so not breathing, the first thing you would probably want to say is, hey, are you okay? Check to make sure the scene is safe, and then just watch the child's chest to make sure that there is no breathing. Some things that can cause a child to not breathe could be choking on something. Maybe they got into, a house cleaner. It could be poisoning. It could be drowning. So those kind of things. It could even be an illness. So those are some things that you might want to consider. If it was me, I'm a mom of 3. Like the first thing I would do is call 911 and then do the necessary steps.
Absolutely. We definitely recommend calling 911 very first thing. That way you've got EMT on the way. Okay, it looks like we have our first question already. We do want to remind you that we are taking questions throughout the episode. So if you see something that you need clarification or you have other questions, or even if you have a story, feel free to go ahead and share it in the comments section and we will get to them throughout the episode. But here's our first question.
Are there different methods to perform CPR on a newborn versus toddler and child?
That's a great question because you said for today's purposes, an infant is through 1 year of age and then a child is older.
Yes, so if you are going to perform infant CPR compressions, so that would be from birth to 1 year of age, it is a different technique. And then for child, it's going to be from 1 to those signs of puberty. So in a boy, if you don't know the child's age, it's going to be underarm hair. For a female, it's going to be breast development.
Okay, that's a good sign. Keeping in mind, kids reach puberty at different ages
Puberty at different
and things
ages,
like that. So
yeah.
good thing to
so
know.
I think the American Heart Association says about 8 to those signs of puberty, whatever, because all kids are different.
Absolutely. So let's start. Do we start here with the child?
Yeah, so let's go over child CPR first, because I can show you all at home the different techniques that you would use for a child versus an infant.
Okay, let's do it.
So the first step, if you thought your child was unresponsive, not breathing, they say to tap them like right here, up here on the chest. So you would say, hey, are you okay? Are you okay? You would shout for help if you were at a public place or even if you were at your house and someone else was with you.
So there's somebody else to call 911.
Exactly, because you want to start compressions as soon as possible, but obviously calling 911 is also very important. So if I was at home, I would shout, tell my husband, call 911, or if I was in a public place where they would have an AED, I would say call 911 and get the AED. If I was alone and had my cell phone, I could, put myself on speaker, have
Absolutely.
that. If I didn't have anything with children, the most important thing is just, to begin compressions. You would do 5 rounds of compressions and then go get the AED by yourself or call 911. So to do compressions, after you would say, hey, are you okay? You would scan the chest for approximately 5 to 10 seconds. So to scan the chest, I would just go like this to make sure there was no chest rise or fall, because that would indicate that the child was breathing. So I'm gonna say, I see no breathing, so I'm gonna shout, I'm starting compressions. To do compressions, what you're going to do is you're gonna place, I'm right-handed, so I place my non-dominant hand first, and then I place the other one on top, like so. You're gonna go in the center of the chest. I kind of find their nipple line and go right below. And then you're just going to compress on the chest. So just like this. You wanna make sure when you're doing compressions that you're giving enough time for the chest to recoil. And why that's important is because you want the blood to continuous to flow. So if you're just like pressing, the blood's not recoiling and you're pushing more air into the stomach. They used to say that to do it to stay alive, but that's actually too slow. So they changed recently in 2015. The compressions used to be about 100 compressions per minute.
Right.
Now it's 100 to 120.
Wow.
So you mom and dads and grandparents at home, you can actually think of the song Baby Shark. Anybody know that?
Oh no.
Baby shark, do 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 do, baby shark, and you can just, I'm a terrible singer,
Wow.
but yeah, but that's
Look at the pace.
That's the pace you want to go. So you can just compress on the chest. If it's a child that maybe you don't know them, you don't have a
mask or a bag, there it is.
A barrier device.
Sure.
So you can just do compressions. They really found are the most important things you can do.
Right.
If it's your own child that you would feel comfortable giving breasts, or if you are out in public and you want to give breasts on a child and you have a barrier device, you would do 30 compressions to 2 breaths.
30 compressions to 2
30
breaths.
compressions to 2 breaths. So you would just do your 30 compressions, and then to breathe on a child, so I'm just gonna put this over to show. You can also get one-way valve mask on Amazon. They're like $5 to $8.
Right.
You would just type in, I think it's like CPR mask, and you can find one that you can use, keep in your car. I keep one in my car. It's a one-way valve mask just in case I was ever somewhere. So what you would do is you would pinch the nose back, and then you would give 2 breaths. So you do your 2 breaths, and then get right back and do your 30 compressions. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And now my 2 breaths. The breaths you should give over 1 second. That's the time that you want to give them, so it's like 1, 2. And you don't want, so getting from compressions to your breaths, you want to do that in about 5 to 10 seconds. Anything more than that, it kind of interrupts doing compressions, which we already said were the most important thing. So instead of the ABCs of CPR, you want to think of it as CAED, so compressions, airway. So that's kind of...
So when you give the breaths, should you see the chest rise?
Exactly, yeah. So I don't know if at home they could see the bag rising, but as I give my breaths, you want to make sure that the chest is rising. If it's not, what you can do is reposition the neck back and then try again. If you still feel like you're not getting effective breaths, I would say just compress on the chest until advanced help gets here.
Absolutely.
So that would be my recommendation, or what I would do if it was one of my kids and I couldn't get the breast down.
So that's for a child. So let's talk about what is different when you're talking about a baby.
Great. So for your baby who is from birth to 1 year of age, if you discover the child was unresponsive, not breathing, so it's going to be the same thing. You're going to try to elicit that response first. So on babies, since they're smaller surface areas, we're going to tap right here on the foot. So I would say, baby, baby, are you okay? Are you okay? Shout, someone get help, call 911. The next thing I would do is, again, scan that chest for approximately 5 to 10 seconds. So I'm looking just to make sure that there is no breathing. I would say no breathing, no pulse. I'm going to call 911, or I'm going to start compressions. Please call 911. So for a baby to do compressions, what you would do is you're going to take your 2 fingers. So there's different variations. I feel most comfortable using my second finger and middle finger. I've also seen people do it with their middle and ring finger. That's just not as comfortable for me, but there's no wrong way. So what you would do is you would go, and you can see on this baby, you can find their nipple line. You're going to go right below it. So right here. And again, you're gonna do 30 compressions and then your 2 breaths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. One question that I have gotten in a lot of the classes that I teach is, we have grandparents and some might say, oh, you know, I have arthritis, that really hurts my hand. One thing you can do is, if you do have arthritis, or maybe you find by your 4th or 5th set of compressions that your hands are really hurting, one thing you can do is kind of take your non-dominant hand and kind of hold that down too. So that could be a variation if you felt like you weren't strong enough to do the compressions on your baby, or you do have a medical condition that would cause pain. So then you would do your 2 breaths. For a baby, again, it's really important that you would put your mouth over the nose and the mouth. So your mouth going over their mouth and nose. If you feel like your mouth is too small to put over both, it's just put it over the nose and breathe through the nose. So again, you're gonna tilt the head back. It's gonna be a little big. But then I would put my mouth over the nose and the mouth. My 2 breaths, and then I would begin my compressions again. So again, it's going to be your 30 compressions to 2 breaths.
And how long should you do CPR, assuming it's, I guess for lack of a better word, assuming it's working?
So if the baby like got a pulse?
Yeah, so let's, for starters, let's say the baby got a pulse. How long would you want us to continue?
So after the baby has a pulse, you can stop CPR.
Okay.
If the baby's responsive, has a pulse, it worked, you can stop, baby will start crying, you know. But another kind of variation to that question, how long should you do CPR if you're not getting a pulse? Keep doing compressions, keep doing as much as you can until you're physically exhausted or advanced help comes, or someone else can come. If you don't have a phone, if nobody's come, if no one's, you know, no one has come, you don't have a phone, you haven't called 911 yet, they say to do 5 sets of compressions and breaths, then take the child with you, go find the phone. You don't want to leave the child alone,
right?
Because, you know, especially if they're up on like a hard surface that you're doing compressions on. Which brings me to another point. Really important, if you're at home and your child loses consciousness, is unresponsive, and you need to begin CPR, always put them on a flat surface. That's really, really important, because if they're in a crib or on a sofa or a bed, a soft surface, you can't get deep into those compressions to circulate the blood. So you really want to make sure you're on the floor. Even like a hard table could do. I just think it's easier to do it on the floor myself. I feel like you can go over, you can get good compression. Sometimes if your table, especially if you're short, it's hard to get that compression
and you can really
down.
get kind of your body into it a little bit more.
Exactly.
So let's talk about, so say we've had a great outcome, baby has started crying, or the child has started crying and they're kind of coming to. Do you still need to go to a doctor after everything is kind of resolved itself?
Absolutely. If EMS comes, you know, as you're finishing impressions and the child's come to, me as a mom, as a nurse, I would definitely send that child to the ER. But also important, if you are able, maybe that your child's choking and you're able to relieve them, or if you had to do a round of CPR, I would call your pediatrician, family practitioner immediately, just to tell them what happened. They'll probably send you to the ER just to get checked out.
Just to make sure that's what it was. Okay. So let's move on. We're going to talk a little bit now about choking. And just a reminder, we are still taking questions. So if you come up with something you need to ask about CPR, or again, a story you might have, please feel free to share those with us. We're gonna move on and talk about choking. So, actually first it looks like we do have a question.
How can I help prevent my child from choking on food or toys at home?
Well, that's a great place to start, is how to prevent choking.
So some of my recommendations, like I said, I have a 5-year-old and 2-year-old twins. So one thing I do is when they're eating, I make them sit down. No matter if they're like screaming, like just a child running around eating something is like a big no-no.
It's not a good idea for an adult either.
I agree, yeah. So I just make sure my children are seated. My twins are still in height, or like booster seats, and then my 5-year-old's at his chair. And I, make sure that their food is cut up appropriately. Things that are like choking hazards are like hot dogs, grapes. You want to make sure that those are cut up very small. Another thing, just remind your child to eat slowly, chew their food. Anytime when my kids were smaller and I was introducing new foods, I just made sure that I was there, with them, watching them, making sure that they were chewing and swallowing effectively.
Yeah, and I have a 1-year-old who likes to eat really fast and store food in her cheeks like chipmunks. So usually what I will do is sit next to her and make sure she's, eating slowly. And I have had to stop her a time or two and kind of like pull that little hand back and say, okay, like chew what's in your mouth first and then we'll get to what's next.
Right.
So she's getting there as much as an 18-month-old can get there, but right.
Yeah. Another thing you could do is just ask your pediatrician for whatever age range your child is. What are good texture foods for me to start with? What are foods at this age range that could increase the risk of choking? So go to your pediatrician at your next well visit and maybe just ask them for some tips as well.
So for starters, let's talk about, we talked a little bit about eating, but so what are things that might have happened in advance of a child needing CPR, like starting to choke? Largely just like food's not chewed up well.
Yeah, so food's not chewed up well. Also like small toys.
Oh, sure.
Think of like, my kids are 3 years apart, so my 5-year-old is obviously into smaller toys than I think are appropriate for my twins. So I make sure, if you guys do have older children at home, make sure their toys are kept in a place where your younger child might not put it in their mouth. My twin boy wants to put everything in his mouth, so I just have to be extra careful with him. Other things, like we said, like food, there is a test. So if you guys get a toilet paper roll and maybe there's a toy that you think might be, don't know if it's appropriate, see if it can fit through the toilet paper roll.
Oh.
If it's like too small and goes right through, it's probably not a good toy for that age because they can swallow it.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, we teach that in our babysitting class to younger kids, so who might be watching, toddlers. So that's a good test that you guys can try at home. So just really be careful about those small toys. Things in your purse, like I have a huge purse and I always make sure I set it up because, kids can get in your purse, like swallow like a penny, something like that, just like small things, that you might not think about. Another thing is get on your child's level. So get on the floor, look around and see what is, around their play area that they could put in their mouth too. That's another recommendation that I do at home. Just, being visually, being aware of what's in their play area and their surroundings that could become a potential danger.
So let's start with the child again for choking. Let's start with, that they're choking and they're conscious and I guess, what do you do?
So one thing, and since we can't really practice Heimlich on a child, so don't go home and practice on your kid because that could be dangerous. I'm going to show you guys the picture of the hand placement. So this would be a child who, again, is above 1 year of age to those signs of puberty. So this would be your hand placement, so around, just kind of right above their belly button.
Okay.
So some things that, first, what you would obviously want to make sure, there's 2 different forms too, and then this would be a picture, that's the universal sign for choking.
I think we all know what we're talking about.
Yeah. So if your child's doing that, that's when you should definitely start the Heimlich. But one thing I like to teach in my classes is if a child, from 1 to those signs of puberty, maybe they're just coughing on something.
Sure.
Let them cough. Obviously, if you are scared and they're coughing, you can still call 911, but you probably wouldn't want to start the Heimlich just yet if they're coughing. Let them try to cough it out and get that object up. if they are doing this, if they're having respiratory distress, if they can't cough or anything, then you would start the Heimlich. So those are kind of like your two variances. So if they can cough, if they're making sounds, they can talk to you, just let them, try to keep them calm, maybe call 911, just tell them what's going on, say that they can still talk, cough, but just don't try yet to see if they can produce that object or whatever they're choking on by themselves.
Probably a little easier. So.
Right. So obviously if they're if they are doing the universal choking sign, they can't breathe, you would come right in, this is
kind of awkward,
but yeah. So like if we say their belly button's right here, what you would do is I would put my non-dominant hand first like this, and then you're gonna wrap your other hand around, and you're just gonna thrust up. So if this was like a hard, you would just keep thrusting until the object was expelled or the child loses consciousness. Mm-hmm. If they lose consciousness, then you're going to put them on the floor. So you would be standing while you're doing the Heimlich. So you would kind of, obviously if the child was like this tall, I would probably kneel behind and go in. So if they became unresponsive, I would set them down to the floor and then start my 30 compressions to 2 breaths. Or if you didn't feel comfortable doing the breaths, just compress on the chest until advanced help comes. So that's kind of the Heimlich and the steps you would do for that. If you have a child who is obese, or that you couldn't feel like you could fit your arms around their stomach, what you can do is go up right by their chest and do compressions there. This too for an adult or even a pregnant woman, if you can't fit your arms around, you can do it up more by the chest.
So what if I'm doing compressions and I look in their mouth and I can see a hunk of something in the back of their mouth?
Good. We teach in our class, never do a blind sweep. Never just stick your hand in their mouth, because you could lodge the object down further. If you can obviously see like a piece of bread or something, yes, do the blind sweep, get it out, because then that would probably
solve the problem.
Solve the problem, prevent the choking.
Okay, so let's talk about baby. Now, who knows with babies, if they're on solid foods yet, things like that, as they're learning, things like that.
I always tell, we get a lot of people expecting babies in our family and friends CPR class. So I always tell them this is probably the skill that is going to be the most useful to you, because babies do tend to choke on things.
Yeah.
So what you would do if your baby was choking is you would grab them, obviously protect their neck. And what you're going to do is on my non-dominant side, so my left side, I would put them kind of down towards gravity, because that will help get that object out.
Get it out.
And what you're going to do is 5 back slaps and then 5 chest thrust. So it's going to look like this. So right in between their shoulder blades, which is kind of outlined here, you're going to take the palm of your hand and do 5 slaps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Turn them over, and then 5 chest thrusts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So kind of like 5 compressions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, and my head came out.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you would keep doing this. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You would keep doing that rhythm until the object is expelled or the infant lost consciousness. So then we would just go to our CPR. So remember your 30 compressions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, up to 30, and then your 2 breaths. So you would do that until advanced help comes or the child regains consciousness.
So same question that I asked about CPR. So say my child chokes and we get it out and everything, would you still call their doctor or take them into the ER?
Yes, it's really important, especially for children or infants who had the Heimlich maneuver done to them, is get them to the ER or their doctor as soon as possible. We would just want to check to make sure no ribs were broken. Obviously a broken rib is better than choking on something and having a bad outcome. So you would definitely want them to get checked out. That's why we don't recommend going home and practicing the Heimlich maneuver on your child who is not choking. So yeah, just following that advice, really just right below the belly button, taking that right there, and then you're just gonna thrust in as hard as you can for the child who's over 1 to about the signs of puberty. And then just remember your back slaps, 5 back slaps, 5 chest thrusts for your infant who is birth to about 1.
Okay, so one other thing, we just want to remind you again, we are taking questions. So if you have a question throughout the episode, please send her in and we will get to it. But one last thing we want to talk about, you cover this a little bit in the class, is the AED machine that you have over here. And these are things that are typically not found in homes. These are businesses, schools, things like that. Can you talk a little bit about what an AED does?
Of course. So this is a trainer model, and I like to preface in my classes that all AEDs look different. They're going to be different sizes, different shapes. The most important thing to know is that they all work the same. It's pretty much pressing start and then following the commands to the AED.
Right.
So I always like to say in my classes too, children mostly have healthy hearts. They might have swallowed something, choked on something that causes them cardiac arrest. It's not usually because of their heart. So obviously, we're not going to have these in our homes where, our kids are most of the time. But schools, gyms, supermarkets, public places, most of them have AEDs. To locate those, or if you're the one shouting, someone has shouted to you to go grab the AED, what you'd want to look for is like a red sign, and it usually has like AED and then a lightning bolt through it. So just kind of look for that. I don't know, I'm just like now in tune to it. So every place I go, like I know where the AED is at my gym, at my work. It's just kind of good to like know where those are. So what you're gonna do is you would open the AED. So for a child who is up from like birth to 8, you can use a child pad. So the child pads look like this. And they show you on the pads how to put those on. So that is what they look like. If your child is above 8 or the AED does not have child pads, you would use the adult pads. So above 8, or if your AED did not have the child pads. These are what the adult pads look like. On some AEDs, they will have a key that you can switch to a child setting if they don't have the child pads as well. Mostly what I've seen in my practice and just like being around is that most AEDs now carry child pads. So it shouldn't be a problem having these. So the first thing you're gonna do is turn this on. I'm not gonna turn it on yet because it's gonna be really loud. So I'm gonna demo it and then I'll turn it on and I'll follow with the prompts. So you're gonna press start, which is gonna be this big green button. It's then gonna inform you to place the pads. Let's say this child is 6 years old. So I'm gonna use the child pads. I'm gonna put one right there on their sternum and then one on their back. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plug in the pads connector and it'll flash where you plug it in. Then, if I'm the person running the AED, as soon as this says analyze, I'm gonna shout, clear, clear, everyone get away from the child. That's really important because you don't wanna have a second emergency if somebody's touching.
Yeah.
Because then, like, if you were touching the child and I shocked, then you might need a pacemaker.
Yes.
Yeah. So you really want to make sure everybody is clear, no one's touching the child. Then what you're going to do is hit this orange-red button that has the lightning bolt. You're going to hit it. As soon the AED will say clear, and then you would begin compressions again. It's really important to then get back on the chest so that we're not interrupting compressions. You guys can just leave the AED on, don't take it off. It will cycle every 2 minutes. If they find a rhythm that is shockable, it will shock again. So let's demo it. Let's say that this child is 10. So this child would need the adult pads, and I'll show you how to put the adult pads on, and then I'll turn it on so that you guys can hear it. Yeah. So we're saying that this is my cousin's child who I know that he's 10. He went down. She's starting CPR. She yelled for me to come get the AED, so I'm back with the AED. First thing I'm going to do is turn it on.
Apply pads to patient's bare chest.
So I know that the right one is going to go up here.
Next to flashing light.
And then the left one is going to go right down here. Now I'm going to plug in the connector to
Apply
that flashing light.
pads, analyzing heart rhythm. Do not touch the patient.
Clear, everybody clear.
Shock advised. Charging.
Clear.
Stay clear of patient. Deliver shock now.
Press that
Press the shock delivered. Begin CPR.
And then I would get right back on the chest. And the nice thing about the AEDs is that they're gonna do the beep for you, so you know when to do your compression. So you can call and follow along with the beep. And la la la.
There it goes.
You do, yep.
Okay, so you teach a CPR class on behalf of St. Louis Children's Hospital. Who should take this course?
That's a great question. So I recommended this class to all my friends who are expecting children or who have young children, you know, from birth to school age. Also, it's really great for grandparents. My parents have taken the class. You know, maybe you're a grandparent that's going to be at home watching your kids. It's also really great for those who are babysitters, nannies, maybe you work in a school or a daycare. If you are younger than 10, we ask that you, 10 to 15, we ask that you bring your parent or guardian with
Sure.
you, just because we want them to kind of be there to see the class as well. So I would say, I mean, really anyone out in the community. We also, as part of our family and friends, we teach adult CPR too. So if you're just curious, you know, it's really a great skill to have. And we just like to reiterate that in the family and friends CPR class, we do not give you an actual certification or a CPR card. We do give you a certificate that you completed the class, but it's not the certification like you would have if you took a hospital class. So.
Okay, and how do you sign up?
Great question. So you can sign up by calling 314-454-KIDS, and they are open Monday through Friday from 8 to 6. And then you can also go online to Children's website if you prefer to enroll online.
Very good. Okay, so that's going to wrap up our talk today about CPR and AED, and that was actually the last segment in our Safe at Home series. So next week, you will have my colleague Laura High, and we are starting a brand new series on teenagers. Oh boy! So we have all kinds of great information for those hormone crazed years, whether you have teens at home or you're looking forward to those years, or if you just have some teenagers in your life and you just want some more information about what's going on in their world right now. So please join us next Friday at 11 with Laura and right here on Facebook Live. Have a great day.